This is the Marketing Boss Podcast, where today's top marketing professionals reveal their best tips, tools, and strategies, and we all become better leaders because of it. And here's your host, video marketing expert, Herschel Hatton.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of the Marketing Boss Podcast, brought to you by Fresh Level, which is a video marketing agency. I'm your host, Herschel Hatton. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. I'm really excited today. I'm joined by James Riseborough. He's the founder and CEO of Turtle Transit. And today we are talking about experiential and virtual event marketing. You guys got to check out some of their work, their displays. It's like fantastic. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about James really quickly. James began his marketing career working as a high sought after sculptor and nightclub designer, and he created a number of out-of-this-world focal points in some of the country's most famous hotspots, including the House of Blues in Boston and New Orleans and the Harley-Davidson Cafe. He carried the expertise and his know-how to the trade show and marketing circuit and spent years designing attention-grabbing exhibits and environments around the globe. Now, that all changed, however, when James saw his first fully morphed advertising vehicle. Suddenly, he saw the opportunity to combine his no-bounds creativity with his lifelong love of cars. I love cars, too. His first mobile creation was Elvis the Rhino, an unbelievably lifelike rhino that was built out of a 1985 Toyota van. Oh, my goodness. And so from his inception, he started Turtle Transit, and it's built his reputation of designing immersive and mobile experiences for the event and experiential marketing industry. And today, he's still the lifeblood of Turtle Transit, as well as the muse and creative force that continues to propel Turtle Transit to be the best, boldest, and most highly innovative production company in the world of experiential marketing design. James, welcome to the Marketing Boss Podcast.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You guys, before we jump into the interview with James, just want to remind you guys to definitely connect with our LinkedIn private group. It's called the Marketing Boss Club. That's where marketing professionals like you and me can collaborate and grow together. Again, that's the Marketing Boss Club. So come on in and join the group. All right, let's jump in with James. Again, James, I'm so excited. I mean, your bio speaks so well of some of the neat things that you guys have been doing and how you've been able to combine creativity. So I'm definitely excited to talk with you about some of these things you guys have been doing. It's really exciting. So let's start off. How did you actually get started in marketing? We talked a little bit about, of course, in the bio, but tell us how you got started.
Well, I've always been an artist. I've always been a sculptor. So I started off with building and designing pieces for nightclubs, which the nightclubs would then use to promote themselves, whether it was items for a sports club or, like you mentioned, Harley-Davidson Cafe, designing and building them Harleys. So it was a little indirect marketing for me, but I saw and enjoyed the way they would use my fabricated pieces to develop and get the name out for themselves in magazines and papers, and somehow, the items that I built would wind up in many places in many ways, again, as promoting their facilities, their functions and their clubs. So it's I enjoyed that and slowly gravitated more and more towards that.
Gotcha, I love it. And that's got to be so rewarding. I know as marketers and those who are in creative spaces, it's so rewarding when you get to see how what you put your hands to is actually coming to life and it's working for that business or that organization or what have you.
Absolutely. And then from the nightclubs, I got into the trade shows and more or less doing the same thing, whether it was a phone company who wanted a 10-foot phone sculpted over their trade show booth with lights and functions and things. Or whether it was from trade show, we also did a lot of work with the group Aerosmith and pieces that they would tie into their albums and things like that when they were on tour. So it just continued to grow to there, and then I wound up starting Turtle Transit, which is kind of the ultimate for me in marketing and experiential marketing, and I fell in love with the whole business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's so exciting. I mean, I've seen some of the work that you guys have done as well. So It's absolutely fascinating. So tell us, just for context and for education purpose, could you explain to the listeners what is experiential marketing?
So experiential marketing, I mean, what I see there's a lot to it, and there's many different ways to explain it. But I guess from an artist's point of view, and from what I do, it is out of home marketing. It's experience, getting an experience, whether it's visual, whether it's touching, whether it's talking, whether it's on your computer. It's continuing the experience of marketing, rather than, we all know marketing as ads and TVs and commercials, but it's much more involved by the people who you're marketing to. So experiential marketing is the experience of being part of that marketing.
Gotcha. Now, I know that you guys have done a number of, campaigns and displays and things like that. Tell us a little bit, what's been the most successful one that you've launched, and what results came from that?
Well, I'm partial to something that the marketing that worked for my company, and in fact, it was the first job that we ever produced. This was for Monster.com, and it was 16 years ago. And Jeff Taylor, the president of Monster.com, wanted to build. They had a character, the Trumposaurus, who was their little character who was in all of their commercials and things like that, and he wanted to morph 5 Land Rover Discoveries. He was partial to Land Rovers and wanted to morph them into this Trumposaurus character. Now, this is back in the day when Monster.com, people would watch the Super Bowl to see the Monster.com commercials. Monster.com had 2 blimps they had running. And so I was assigned with fabricating and turning these Land Rover Discoveries into monsters. So between foam, fiberglass, painting, textures, I built these 5 vehicles. And for me, starting out in this industry, I would set up appointments. Nobody'd know who I was, but they would, they were kind enough to let me through their door and show them who I was and what my company was doing. And those 5 monster vehicles, they were marketed so well that I would go into a room with complete strangers, and the one thing they knew was those monsters. And that is part of the experiential marketing. So the success with Monster.com and those vehicles, in turn, was my success, because it got me notarized as the builder of these vehicles that everybody knew. They were in the papers. They were all over the country. So, again, I'm partial to that because it was how I launched my company, and I don't think I could have had a better program to work it from.
That's amazing. So typically, let me ask, when it comes to let's say a client or a company who's looking to solve a challenge, and this would be the solution, what are some of the challenges or problems that you might hear of that, your displays and the things you guys are doing with experiential marketing helps them to solve?
It's getting out to the masses. It's getting recognized. I've always considered myself what I call a Disney artist. What I build, there's no interpretation to what I do. And in the end, why is Walt Disney and Six Flags and all these places so successful? Because you see it and you know it. So with what we do and the experience of what we do, if it's in vehicle form, when it goes down the road, you see it. It draws your attention. You take the LL Bean boots we've built and go on Google and type bootmobile. All you're going to see come up pretty much from Google is that bootmobile. And the number of people, when they say, "What do you do?" and "What do you mean?" I tell them about the bootmobile or about the Planters Peanuts vehicles we've built, and they understand, "Oh, I've seen that," or the peanut vehicle in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade. "Oh, I know what you're talking about." So it's just the recognition and the understanding of that brand through just, whether it's visually seen at once, you recognize it and the notoriety of that brand and where they are and what they're doing.
I love that because, at the end of the day, what it's doing, it's creating that trust and that relationship with the brand. So even if they don't really recall the name all the time, they'll still remember, maybe interacting with that particular mobile, display or what have you, especially like the Planters peanuts. Like as soon as you said that, I recognized it. I remember where I've seen it and the interaction that was there and the relationship that was built, even though, even though I may not be a huge peanut fan, I know exactly who they are. And, it just adds to that experience for the consumer. So I love that. And I'm curious as well, when it comes to your displays, what is your approach to really have them to stand out? How do you guys creatively go about putting together these displays?
Well, the process, and it's the process, the early stages of the process, which I find myself enjoying more and more. It's working with our client on what they're trying to do, and even with our clients, they don't have a full understanding of our abilities at Turtle Transit, or how far out of the box, we'll call it, they can reach to draw attention. So for us visually, I start with visual, recognition and doing that, and that now as time has progressed, it's gotten into technology and keeping people involved, through the channels of through their computer and social awareness on whatever platform you want to use today. It's just continuing to recognize and continuing that experience to move.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always fun to really work and see how, from concept to realization, that whole process and what you can create. I absolutely love that aspect as well. So let's shift gears a little bit here. I know that you've dealt with and worked with a number of, marketing departments within different companies, whether small or large. What would you say are, from your opinion, what do you feel that most marketing departments are missing today? Like, what is it that is not being seen as clearly, or that they're just missing the ball altogether? What are you saying?
What I see a fair amount of is the lack of experience. And obviously you've got to get your foot in the door and you've got to start somewhere. But what I call cubicle marketers are new hires who are in a cubicle, and or it doesn't have to be a cubicle, but new hires, and they're handed something they don't fully understand, and they're brought in to manage it and speak to it and work with companies, whether it's us or somebody else, not having a full understanding of what it is they're doing. And so part of our job at Turtle Transit is to help and educate these these young marketers. But there's a lot of moving parts to what we do in experiential marketing, and a lot of these younger folks have, they understand the social media side of it, but then to put it all together in a tour with vehicles and things like that, it's just there's a lack of experience there. And when you have so many moving parts, you've got to be very careful that everything goes right and you're tagging all the bases. So that's kind of a lack of experience from time to time is more and more what I'm seeing now. Previously, 16 years ago when I started this company, there were agencies who just primarily worked around social media and this type of marketing. But where it's become more forefront in larger agencies, that experience is just many times lacking, and it makes it challenging for us, because we're trying to steer, our client into what will and could be successful, and sometimes they don't want to hear it, or they're just not going to use the advice that we're giving them, and so it does make it challenging at times.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it also has to do with the, again, just the times, like where things are. A lot of the activity and the skill set that's needed for marketing is now, in essence, because of the new technology that's out and new software's out, it's making it seem as if anybody can really do this. But, clearly we're finding that having that experience and having, I would say, just more of the know-how of how to put all the pieces together is really the skill set that is not there. So, for example, building a website years ago used to be, you know, a very complex situation. When you think about coding, HTML, all these things you had to know. Whereas now you can do it without having any of that knowledge. Think of like the Wixes and the Squarespaces, things like that. You just pay per month and you can create from a template and it's up. And I think that sort of tech software and technology, while it's helping some, I think in some cases still keeping, I guess, the ones that are new to the scene, I guess, not fully developed in some of the skill sets and understanding of how it all comes together. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Absolutely. Yes.
So what, in terms of you in Turtle Transit, what would you say has been your biggest challenge and what has been your greatest success?
Oh, biggest challenge. It can be workflow. A lot of what we do, we build a lot of prototypes. I can't go on Google and type in how to build a 28-foot long peanut out of an Isuzu truck. So unfortunately, so it's trying to figure out. I did a job and put together hard numbers. I'm not one to go back to a client and say, "Hey, I underbid this. We need to come up with more funds." So, if I give them a number and say that this is what it's going to cost, then that's the number and that's what it's going to cost. And so, for us to make sure we hit those numbers, to make sure we hit that timeline, which is very important, we could have a client who has paid, $20,000 to have one of their tours at a NASCAR event or something like that. I need to make sure that vehicle is going to be there, or I'm going to lose a client. So it's those timelines, it's those vehicles, and at times, although we bid on a job and we've given ourselves, 3 months to build it, the client making changes and right up to before the vehicle leaves, they don't understand the impact on what that does to their tour, what it does to the fabrication process. So those changes can make it very difficult for us to meet timelines. Now we pride ourselves here at Turtle Transit at meeting those timelines, but it can get very tough on our end when there's a lot of the things clients we work with. It's decided by committee, and then it's an ever changing. They don't understand what it takes to make a small change and what that can do to the rest of the build or the tour. So that in itself, timelines and making sure that we have did the job properly is challenging. But as time has progressed, that was more as far as bidding work in the earlier days when we were building things we hadn't built before. But overall, after 16 years, we've got a pretty good handle on that, and we know what we're up to. So as far as budgets, that's not as much of a problem. But through the years, it has been it has been there. But we worked our way through that. So I guess at this point, it's primarily changes, understanding what we're doing with our clients, and again, this is where it comes to experience, understanding what we're doing and how changing something 2 weeks before a tour is set to leave, what that can do to us and spiral things out of control for our fabrication and timing needs.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So then on the other side of what has been your best success, your greatest success that you feel most proud of about Turtle Transit?
It's the team over years, the people I work with to go into the shop. I started as a fabricator. I mean, I started pretty much as one person, and we've grown and grown with our departments and our builders. I mean, I've got people who have been with this company for 12 years, and so it's going out into the shop and seeing, just a group of people doing multiple jobs who actually know what they're doing, and you don't have to, for lack of a better term, babysit. They're getting it done, and I know that the quality is going to be where it needs to be. And then as far as my project managers, there's a lot of moving parts here. You really need to spend some time to understand what it is you're doing, and just having the folks who have been here 5, 6, 7 years who do their job efficiently and get along with our clients. I mean, that is the most rewarding thing to me. And to think 16 years back when I was one guy trying to figure out how I was going to do something, now we've got this big machine here that's running efficiently and smoothly. That pleases me every day.
Yeah, that's got to be so rewarding to look back, especially over 16 years, and to see where you are today. So I'm definitely, grateful with you, and and congratulations as well. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That is definitely awesome. So, some last minute questions here as we're wrapping up. Definitely appreciative of your time with me today. What do you see in the future of marketing, especially in your industry? Where do you see things, 5 to 10 years from now?
I think the whole, we're working with millennials and versus, the Gen Zs and what is going to happen to the traditional marketing. There's going to be much more interaction, and I think there's going to be much more entertainment factors. So how do we meet those needs? It's just such a changing world. I mean, I graduated high school in the early 80s, and there weren't computer classes. I think computer class was 1 week out of math class. So I've watched, cell phones come in and the internet, and it's mind-boggling to me. For me to understand what's going on, I go hang out with my 16-year-old for a couple hours, and he educates me on where things are. It's just the way it is for somebody my age. So I can't imagine 10 years from now what we're going to be up to and how we're going to be using technology, but it's certainly going to be going that rate. I still believe we're going to have to contain it. I mean, we're involved, we're doing a lot of projects with virtual reality. My company does not build the virtual reality, but what I'm seeing is the way, how you present the virtual reality is as important as the VR itself. It's amazing. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't think I could even begin to predict where we will be 10 years from now, because I know I'll fall short. But it's exciting, and the world is moving at a fast pace.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. So James, I'm definitely thankful for your time today. And as we wrap up here, what last parting words of advice would you have for some others that are in marketing that are listening, and also where they can reach you if they want to continue the conversation or have questions, or maybe their brand might have use of something like what you guys provide?
Absolutely. Well, Turtle Transit, turtletransit.com, that's where you can find us. We have a Facebook page. We have videos out there of some of our builds. So, the internet world we live in, that's where we are. And we are located in Hudson, Massachusetts, about 45 minutes outside Boston. And as far as people getting into this industry, I fortunately, and the people who work for me are passionate about what we do here. And, you've got to love what you do. If you want to be successful, as I see it, and so know your business and enjoy your business, and the rest will come to you.
Absolutely. And also really quick, one last question. I know that you guys have been, as you mentioned, using video to show some of the builds. How that impacted what you guys have been doing overall?
It's worked, our clients with social media and YouTube and things. For us to do time-lapse builds and things like that, our clients use that a lot. For us to be able to send them videos, I mean, we've got a process of building something that takes 4 months. They're in California, we're in Massachusetts. They want to know that things are going well. Obviously, they're paying money for a product. So whether it be through photos or whether it be through videos, we can now send that to them. We've done live broadcasts with the team working on something. So it's made our life easier and settled our clients just so they can see and know exactly what's going on, which is a huge part. I mean, where so much of this is visual, they got to make sure that what they're getting is what we've all envisioned. And so, the video and live streaming and things like that have become an important part of our world where 16 years ago, you never even thought about it.
Absolutely. That's for sure. I always love asking about that. As you know, we do a lot of video on our end too. So seeing how it's, being utilized in your business, that's great to see. So yeah, I'm definitely appreciative of your time today, James. This has been a really, really great conversation. And I'm pretty sure that the listeners also would agree.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it. This has been fun. And anytime you want to call, by all means, give me a ring.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, that does it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, remember, a good boss is a good leader. So let's go out there and serve your gift to the world because you're the boss. Until next time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Marketing Boss Podcast with your host, video marketing expert, Parshall Houghton. We'll catch you next time.